Hey, welcome back to this episode of Dear Kevin, where we talk about the final two episodes of the ill-fated, short-lived Clerks, the cartoon series. So, episode 5 is called Dante and Randall and Jan Silent Bob and a bunch of new characters, and Lando, take part in a whole bunch of movie parodies. It also could have been titled, The Last Starfighter meets Temple of Doom. So, who the hell is Lando? If you're hearing the title, Dante and Randall, Jan Silent Bob, a bunch of new characters, and Lando go do a bunch of movie parodies. Lando's a character I think created for this episode, maybe the episode before, where they do like a Q&A kind of thing to open up the show. You know, like Clerks was drawn before a live studio audience. That was the opening bit. You do the opening titles, and then you'd hear Jeff Anderson say, Clerks was drawn before a live studio audience, or Clerks was filmed before a live studio audience, or Clerks is a live studio audience. Changed every time, good joke. One of those episodes opens with Dante and Randall kind of sitting on like a fake movie TV set version, like a sitcom version of their quick stop set, talking to the camera saying, all right, we got some mail in, what do you guys think? And one of the letters was saying like, there's no diversity on this show, there's no women or anything else, like, particularly it was like, no women. And they were like, all right, you're right, you guys have spoken and we're gonna fix this. Welcome our new character, Lando, who's a black dude. And he's just in the episode to be like, hello, I'm Lando. That's the whole bit. He never does anything helpful to the story. He's not like the wise old black man or the sassy black character or any of that. He's just a dude named Lando who's in the show. So he's in this episode. He's in the title of this episode. As I said, it's The Last Starfighter meets Temple of Doom. So it opens with Dante and Randall and Leonardo all going back to their high school reunion. I think Leonardo is celebrating like his 20th or 15th high school reunion, and Dante and Randall were there for their 10th. And, they meet all their old friends, and it's clear they were not cool in high school. Like, Randall was a total dweeb-saurus, and every girl he ever dated has gone on to become a lesbian and a man-hater. And Dante is just pathetic and a loser, and, he shows, like, the yearbook photo of the baseball team, and he's like, yeah, there I am, and it's like his arm, it's like that is all you can see of Dante, because he was the equipment manager. So he gets really drunk, and they beat him up, and he wakes up on a baseball field. And Leonardo also gets drunk with him because nobody likes him either. And it's implied that maybe they got drunk and had sex. Who knows? And I guess as a way of like covering his ass, Leonardo says, hey, I'm going to do you a favor. You like baseball. My billionaire company is sponsoring a baseball team. It's also Mighty Ducks. Or the Bad News Bears. Fuck the Mighty Ducks. Bad News Bears. My company is sponsoring a little league team. We need a coach. Would you like to coach the team, Dante? And Dante's like, yeah, baseball. I can form a team. And of course, it's a bunch of rejects, and there's a kid in a helmet. Like, literally, a mentally challenged kid in a helmet. So that's one story going on. And the other story going on is that Randall has beaten the Last Starfighter video game. It's not the Last Starfighter, though. It's like King Pharaoh, where the object is to, like, build pyramids. He was great at it in high school, he's great at it as an adult, he gets the high score, and he gets whisked away by the secret organization because he's the chosen one. He's proven with his skills that he is the chosen one. And it turns out that he's there to build temples. Not to save the world, like that game's about building temples. So he gets chained up and hit with a whip and he has to go build temples. And the bad guy behind all this is voiced by, what's his name? He's in all the Christopher Guest movies. He was Lenny back in the day, Lenny and Squiggy. What's his name? Technical difficulties. Talk amongst yourselves. Michael McKean. There we go. Sorry. Michael McKean. He's also in Spinal Tap. He's been in, like I said, every Christopher Guest movie. Very funny dude. He plays the villain in this, kind of doing a takeoff on like a Gandhi-type voice or a Mola Ram-type voice, Temple of Doom. So we got Bad News Bears going on over here. We got The Last Starfighter kind of mixed with Temple of Doom going on over here. And it's a really strong episode because there's two plots going on. Not exactly an A and a B story, like there isn't like one's more important than the other. They're just two separate things, and we're way gone from the quick stop. Like it's so not Clerks anymore. We're not inside the store at all, I don't think, in this episode. We're all over the map, and there's just a lot of really funny jokes, and because there's two different storylines going on, you're never bored. It's a really quick 22 minutes. If you're into any of those movies, there's a bunch of little nods and moments that make you laugh, and like, I remember that shit, but not just like in epic movies, Scary Movie 9 kind of way, like actual good satire and parodies. Loving parodies, loving tributes to those films. And Jan and Silent Bob are worked into the story because they never graduated 3rd grade, so they're technically eligible to play on the Little League team. And there's this great sequence where they're running around the bases, tackling kids, and it's so brutal and fucked up and funny. In the end, Dante and Randall go on the road. Dante and the kids and Jay and Silent Bob go on the road, touring around, you know, playing a bunch of different teams. They're in a tournament, and they get to this one town where it seems like all the kids are gone. They've been taken in the night. So therefore, the final championship game can't happen. So Dante decides to storm the palace and rescue the kids. And he's there to save Randall. Or not there to save, he saves Randall, who he didn't even know was there. And Randall's like, Dante, you're here to save me. You're my best friend. And Dante's like, what? Oh, yeah, sure, okay. And then the final game happens, and it's a bunch of emaciated, you know, starving, chained up children versus, you know, Jay and Silent Bob. So, of course, they get their ass kicked. And Dante wins the final game, and, you know, they hoist him up, which what he always wanted. What he always wanted was to be hoisted up by a team. We feel like he's part of a team. They're like, we love you, Coach Dante, and the guy takes a picture, click. And, of course, Randall dives into the photo at the last second and blocks Dante, and the only thing you can see, again, is Dante's arm in the background. Fantastic show. So many good jokes. The music is fantastic. Again, James Venable doing a bunch of cool themes, but also a lot of parodies of, you know, the Bad News Bears and Temple of Doom and all that good stuff. It is such a fucking fun episode, and it's really strong. It's probably, like I said, this one and the one before are the two strongest episodes. My favorite, and it's also really strong, is the finale, episode 6, which is titled The Last Show Ever. Now, it's called that because the episode kind of goes into this weird cosmic, you know, existential place, but also because everybody involved pretty much knew they were done. The story goes they were having a read-through of this final episode, and it turns into this big old Duck Amuck parody where Jay and Silent Bob... Let me explain Duck Amuck for people who haven't seen it. Go YouTube Duck Amuck, first of all. It's a Chuck Jones cartoon. It's a Daffy Duck cartoon. It's fucking brilliant. And that's the cartoon, if you've ever seen it, where some unseen animator is fucking with Daffy Duck the whole time, drawing animals over his head, taking away his voice, that kind of thing. And it's revealed at the end that Bugs Bunny is the one who's been fucking with Daffy the whole time. So in this episode, a similar thing happens where somebody's fucking with Dante and Randall, and it's revealed at the end that it's Jay and Silent Bob. Ha! Good little final little moment. They did the read-through for it and nobody laughed, which apparently that's what happens when you do a read-through for like the studio, the network. They're not there to laugh, they're just there to make sure they don't get sued and to give notes and really boring shit like that. And after the read-through, Brian and Jeff, Dante and Randall, the actors, they're in the elevator with all the legal guys and they're just kind of waiting, you know, riding down the elevator together, and one of the lawyers goes, oh, I get it. Jay and Silent Bob were drawing the cartoon. Ha ha ha. And Brian and Jeff were like, Jesus Christ, like, he knows we're here. Like, nobody has any faith in this show, we're done. So, this is the last episode. They kind of knew it going in, and it's my personal favorite. A, because I'm a huge Chuck Jones fan, and I love that they referenced Duck Amuck. B, it's got a Freaks reference. Freaks is a fantastic movie, might also be on YouTube. Very old film, it's like from the 30s maybe. Very creepy fucking movie about carnival freaks, and they use real freaks, real people who have, you know, pinheads and no arms and all that kind of shit. They reference that movie, so as a film geek, I'm just loving all the references. Also, as a fan of Clerks, I love it because the conceit of this final episode is that they're going to stay in the quick stop. It opens up with a Q&A, like at a Comic-Con type thing. Again, it's kind of a very meta joke, where the characters on the show are actually at a Comic-Con answering questions. And one of the questions, I think, from one of the kids in the hall, Kevin McDonald and Mark McKinney are both in this episode from Kids in the Hall. The question is like, yeah, I have a question. It's not really like the movie, and it's not really vulgar, plus like it's in color, and it's really weird, like with all the monkeys and stuff. Thank you. And Randall's like, that wasn't a question. Apparently that's criticism they got from a real fan. Like, fuck this show, you know, I don't like it, it's not like the movie. Why is it like the movie? Why isn't everything the same? I want things to be the same, change is bad. So based on that, they're like, alright, fuck it, let's try and do an episode that's like the movie. So it has the title cards, you know, Jay and Silent Bob, you know, like in the movie, in the Clerks movie where it comes up with ostentation or malaise, all those, you know, big old SAT words. They do those title cards. Brian and Randall, wow. Dante and Randall never leave the store. All this shit's going on outside, so they can see the episode is the craziest things ever are happening just over there. Like, and there's, look, there's a fair, and, you know, there's aliens landing, and what the fuck, but they never go outside. There was talk of doing it in black and white, but they didn't do that, because it's cartoon, so they figured just keeping them in the store was good enough. One cool bit of casting in this is that, Oh, what's her name? The chick who played Caitlin Bree, Dante's girlfriend, fiance, chick from Clerks. She comes back to voice the same character again. It's the one like reference mention of Caitlin in the show, and she came back for one line to do her own voice. Of course, I can't find her name, and I suck. Jeff Anderson was married to her in real life. There's a factoid for you. Randall and Caitlin got married in real life. Talk amongst yourselves. Is she even credited? Wow, not even credited. Anyway, the fucking actress who played Caitlin, I'm sorry I can't remember your name. She came back, it was a very cool thing, and did a little cameo as her character from Clerks. Only time we've ever seen or heard from her again. So yeah, that's interesting. The episode eventually, like, they decide, Dante and Randall are like, we're gonna leave this store, we're gonna go outside. So they do, and when they open the door, they go into like this cosmic void, and it becomes, like I said, this big old Duck 'em Up parody, where they're entering various worlds, and there's a big old pencil coming in, erasing them. A lot of fucking very cool jokes, and it doesn't have any resolution. Like, it's one of those shows that got canceled, and there was no time to do like a goodbye episode. Who would do a goodbye episode after only 5 episodes anyway? So it's a real bittersweet kind of ending, particularly because it's so good, it's so funny. I enjoy it a lot. So whenever I watch this last episode, I'm always really fucking bummed out because there's no next one. A lot of people, I think, feel the same way. As I said, it's on DVD. Here you go, here's a case. 2-disc DVD. Big old box set. Like, Miramax really did it well. Really did a cool box set, packed with special features. It's a real, like, loving, you know, collection if you're a fan of the show, and clearly there was an audience for it, otherwise they wouldn't have made it. Like, I'm sure it's sold a bunch of copies. I think it's kind of hard to find now. I think if they put it on Amazon or Netflix, that people would watch the shit out of it, it would become trending, all that good stuff. So, it's a real shame that the show was canceled. And I wish it wasn't. I wish they kept doing episodes like this. At the same time, I don't know if Kevin would have been able to keep making the movies he made. I really like the movies he's made since. So, you know, you kind of have to play it as it lays and realize that, yeah, it would have been cool to have like 300 episodes or some shit of Clerks, the cartoon, but at the same time, you know, I'm a pretty big fan of the stuff he did since anyway. So, I'm happy that we got what we got. The Dear Kevin this time is, I don't want to be repetitive, I'm talking a lot about this show, so I've kind of covered like, hey, I want you to work in television, hey, you should do another cartoon, hey, work with a group. I wasn't quite sure what else to say about, like, what else I should say to Kevin about this cartoon. So, I'm just gonna kind of wing it a little bit on this Dear Kevin, which I don't even, you know, maybe he'll never see it anyway, but that's the conceit of the show, and I always, like, when I start talking, I'm sure I'll find something that I want to say to Kevin Smith. So, Dear Kevin, I'm having a ball reviewing these shows for you. Revisiting them again has been a blast. There are so many good jokes in it. Okay, there we go. There's the Dear Kevin for this week. I think it'd be fun if you went back and did something else like this. Not a cartoon necessarily, but something that's more joke-oriented. And I guess you are. I mean, Mallrats, I'm assuming Mallrats 2 isn't going to have, like, the big anal rape scene where then we talk about the, you know, dangers of rape. I'm assuming it'll be a pretty funny, goofball kind of movie. But, I just like the fact that you've done so many different things. And this is such a, obviously, you know, as a fan of your work, it doesn't seem too far removed. Like, it isn't like watching Red State or something like that. This is in the wheelhouse of Kevin Smith, but it's really cool to see you stretch as an artist. And, I think it's a shame that it happened the way it did. And I really like the fact that you rallied from it. That, you know, a lot of people, when they get their show canceled, that's fucking, they're done. Like, that's the only thing that ever happens is they had a show and now they don't, and then they're done. And you know, you moved on with it. You've turned the animated versions of these characters into a bit of a legacy. Like, there's a bunch of action figures, like various sets and, you know, volumes. I don't know what you call action sets. More than one collection, like in different poses of these characters and this design. Like, it's clearly lived on. It's a part of your legacy now. And it's really cool that you can just roll with the punches that way and take something that was just meant to be joyous and fun and, like, let's make a fucking cartoon with really good, like, talent involved. Like, you had this great voice cast, Alec Baldwin, Bryan Cranston, these 4 dudes you included. Charles Barkley, my God, you got Charles Barkley, who's in all 6 episodes, by the way, because I didn't mention that. You know, you had Dave Mandel coming off of Seinfeld. It's crazy that, like, that team couldn't get this show to stay on the air because there was no faith in it. And it's awesome and inspiring that you were just like, fuck it, I'm going back to movies, which I assume you were going to do anyway. It's really cool that you didn't take this and then let it end your shit. Like, and you've still done TV since, you obviously. I mean, you're off in Toronto right now, directing The Flash, so it's inspiring that you wanted to do something for the love of it all and for your fans, and when it didn't go the way you wanted to, that it didn't destroy you. So, keep doing silly shit. You know, as George Carlin said, your job is thinking up goofy shit. So is, you know, that's my job, that's your job, that was his job. Keep thinking up goofy shit, and, you know, thanks for not quitting after something terrible happened. And thanks for putting this shit out in the world, because it's one of those things that, like, even if I have a lot of friends who are not really into the hardcore sex talk, or, you know, just, it's very dated, not in a bad way, but it's very 90s, a lot of your work. I love that stuff. The same people who can't watch Friends because it's so 90s, or, you know, any of those 90s shows, a lot of Nicktoons, they can't watch those anymore because it just takes them back, makes them feel like dated. I have a lot of friends who actually have really enjoyed the cartoon because, you know, they don't, it doesn't push them away from the content. So it's very cool that you took such a quirky, original movie like Clerks, something that came from your soul, and found a way to make it mainstream. That's also inspiring. So thanks for being a continuing inspiration to me, Kevin Smith. You always will be, I'm assuming. So hopefully someday you'll see this and we can talk about, you know, maybe we can do a little podcast about every episode of the Clerks cartoon. Do 6 episodes, it'd be amazing. I'll be back, sincerely, George. I'll be back tomorrow to talk one more episode about the Clerks cartoon. That, dear Kevin, will be easier to talk about because I'm going to be talking about the special features, which seems like, what the fuck? You're only like 15 episodes in, you're talking about special features? I am, because the special features on this DVD are fantastic. They're exceptionally in-depth. I've gone back to them more than I have the show. Granted, the show's only 6 episodes, but I have to do an episode on the special features, and just my little final thoughts. A little wrap-up on the entire Clerks cartoon series. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm back. I promise I will not let that happen again. If I do, I'll, if something does happen where I miss a day, I'll do my best to pick it up to you guys. I really appreciate the viewers that I have, and thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you next time, alright? Bye!